Hi, Global Studies. This video will focus on how to plan your Global Studies schedule each quarter. We're going to go through some tips and some tricks and just some overall things you're going to want to look at every time you're sitting down to plan your schedule so that you can know that you are on track, you're in the right classes, and that you're moving forward towards graduation. So one of the main things we'll look at is how to read your major in GE progress check and how to use GOLD and the general catalog tools to find the right classes. So you can get some clickable links. You're going to see them in this presentation, but you can't click them through the video. So you'll access the Google Slides version of this presentation when you visit our website, which we're actually going to explore in the presentation. Website is www.global.ucsb.edu. You're going to go to the undergraduate tab and then the registration resources. And this presentation will be linked in there so that you can see the slides and download them if you wanted to. You can also download them or click through them at your own pace by going into the comment section of or the description, I should say, of the YouTube video. So you can get to them that way. So big question that we get a lot is, can I make an appointment with the undergraduate advisor to help me personally pick out my schedule each quarter? And that definitely sounds like the right thing, right? We totally want to encourage you to come in and talk to us or email us or meet with us. That's fantastic. We definitely want to chat with you. But we will say this seems like a good idea. It's not always a great idea to start with a meeting with an advisor every time you need to plan your schedule. It's actually a really great move to do what we're going to outline in this video because a couple different things. We want to think about the timing, right? Global Studies is a major with about 800 students. It's not always possible or realistic for us to meet with every single person who might need some assistance getting their schedule sorted. The reason is we don't have enough hours in every week. And by the time most students are starting to think about planning their schedule, we already are booked up with meetings. We tend to get really busy in the middle of the quarter when you're enrolling for next quarter's classes. And you definitely do not want to be late to your first pass, right? That is your best possible chance to get into the classes that you need and the classes that you want. And you wouldn't want to have to wait until you can schedule an appointment with us or get our input on your schedule before you actually start enrolling. So that's partly why we wanted to share this information with you. The other reason is that you actually kind of want to take charge of your own UCSB experience, right? It's really, really important that you get really familiar with and comfortable with checking on the different tools that are available to you, specifically your major in GE progress check, so that way there's no surprises. You always know where you stand in the major, where you stand in your graduation requirements, which GEs you still have to take care of, how the different classes you're taking are helping you towards your final graduation status, and just kind of how to make all of that work, how to find classes on GOLD, so that way you can be confident that you will be graduating on the timeline that you are hoping for. It's not bad to come talk to us. We definitely, like I said, we definitely encourage you to come speak with us, and we want to meet with you. We want to see you. We want to be involved in what's going on in your progress here at UCSB. But if you're relying on our help, then it means that you are not able to get in and get what you need quickly. And again, that whole timing thing, right? We just may not be able to help you in time, and we may find out later down the line that you're closer to graduation and there were some things that you might have missed out on doing along the way that we just, once we find it later, we can't do as much about it. You don't have as much time left to be able to take care of those requirements. So, having the ability to work these systems and use these tools really, really benefits you and feeling confident that you are on track. So let's say this, just please read or watch the information on the following slides and in the video. And then if you are stuck, if you are still trying to make it work and you have specific questions, we definitely want to speak with you. We don't want to discourage you from coming to meet with us in the slightest. It's just that looking through this first will help you take charge of what you need, and then we can help you where you're getting stuck. Very happy to do that. From there, we're going to do a quick big overview of the steps that you'll follow, and then the later parts of the presentation will kind of go in depth on those steps and actually give you some tutorials about how to use the different resources and tools that we're going to show, and kind of like a sample going through the whole system to plan your schedule. So your first thing you're going to want to figure out is your personalized pastimes and set reminders where you will see them, right? Maybe you're a paper calendar person, maybe you are a Google Calendar person, maybe you just like to use reminders on your phone. Don't recommend writing stuff down in your hand like we used to back in my day. Reason is you want to be very, very crystal clear on when, to the minute, you get the chance to start enrolling, so that that way you can gather your information, pick out your classes, figure out how it all fits together, and then just log in, type in the numbers, hit enroll, or pick your classes, pick your sections, and then you're done, right? If you are waiting until, or you're not realizing that you're waiting and a little bit behind when your first pass comes around, then everybody else is getting their first pass and they are potentially taking the seats that you could have had access to. So it is really important that you are looking up your personalized pass times. Then a few days to a week before your Pass 1 opens, you're going to plan your strategy. You are going to check your own major progress check on Gold just to see where you are, what classes you have completed, what you still need to finish. And this is also the moment where you can reach out to us if something looks really confusing, or you're feeling like you did something that it says that you didn't, or you're just not sure where you're standing. But that is when you're going to want to start making that strategy. You're going to want to compare your degree progress in your progress check with what's on the major requirement sheet. So if you're looking in the progress check, you'll actually get to see the backbone of all the different requirements you need to fulfill. But then when you look at the major requirement sheet, that's where it gives you some options to look at, like for a particular area, what classes count, things like that. We also have the suggested plan of study for global studies majors that we would recommend that you reference every time you're planning your schedule each quarter, just to kind of see, like, are you on track? Are you maybe getting ahead? Are you a little bit behind and you want to think about how to catch up? Things like that. Then you're going to want to use the tools for finding classes quickly and efficiently, and make lists of your preferred courses with lots of backups in case your first choices are not available, so that you can enroll quickly in classes that will work. And then you can always think later in your Pass 2, Pass 3 about switching your schedule around if you think you might want to do something different when it comes to the actual quarter that you're enrolling for, but at least that way you have a workable schedule done, right? Then you don't have to worry that you will be left with nothing that helps you for your degree progress. And then you also want to be informed about our department crash policies and what to do if your preferred or your planned global studies courses aren't available to you that particular quarter. Sort of how to get into classes that are closed. So we're going to talk about what's at the bottom here in a second, but we'll start here at the top. So some of the tools and resources to use throughout the process, I'll kind of speak to some of the main websites and areas within existing websites that you will want to be very familiar with to help you figure out your best way to plan your schedule. The number one thing is your major and GE progress check. You get to this on Gold. I will show you some things to click to get there and how to run it. This is also sometimes called a degree audit. So the way that you get into this, actually this is going to come a little bit later, but we'll go into that major and GE progress check a little bit later. Another thing that I really recommend spending some time with, especially if you're a newer student and you're not as familiar with the registration system, using Gold. That'll be like your main one-stop shop for most things that you need when registering here at UCSB and things like that. The College of Letters and Science Advising Office has put together some really useful videos. There's a YouTube channel that's linked in here. I'm not going to click it for now, but just know that you can get there. Or if you just Google search UCSB College of Letters and Science on Google or search it on YouTube, you will most likely find their YouTube channel. They have a lot of videos on just how to make Gold work for you. So how to register, literally what things to click through, how to check your major progress check, how to search for classes. Even if you are a continuing student and you feel like you're pretty used to knowing where to click in Gold, you might learn a new trick. The first time I watched those videos, I learned a whole bunch of new things that I was not aware of about how to make Gold do what I want it to do. The third video linked in this channel is actually a really useful one to learn about the advanced search tool on Gold. This is a really great tool if you're trying to find a really specific type of class. Like if you realize by looking at your major and GE progress check that you have a very specific hole to fill, right? Maybe there's a very specific GE you need. Maybe you need classes that are only upper division units and all you're seeing are lower division classes, and you really want to just zero down to the upper division classes. That's a really great way to choose a filter that lets you see only upper division courses. Maybe you just need a 2-unit class. Sometimes when you get to the end of your degree progress, you just need a little tiny 1 or 2 unit class, and that can help you. The advanced search can help you find classes like that. It also can be used to narrow down classes that are still open, right? Like if you're trying to find a class desperately to get into to fill up your schedule or fulfill a need, and you are finding that everything's full already, advanced search lets you filter for classes that are still open so that you can only focus on those ones instead of stressing yourself out, like looking at classes that are all closed. So really, really useful. And then we at the Global Studies Department have a registration resources section of our website. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there. In fact, we have a whole YouTube video in our channel that is all about navigating through the registration resources section of our website. I definitely recommend that you take a look at that. We're just going to look at a couple things on it today. The big ones are the major requirement sheet and the suggested plan of study that applies to you. Now, depending on when you are joining us here at UCSB, which academic year, you might see a couple different options for catalog, what are called catalog years of the major. These are like what the major requirements looked like at any given point when students have been attending UCSB. The current one, it will say whatever is the academic year. We're just about to go into the 2020 to 2021 academic year. No, we're about to start the 2021 to 2022 academic year, which is crazy. So right now where it says 2020 to 2021, that's a little bit out of date, but just know that if you go to that registration resources website, you will see the most updated ones. For students who have been in the major a little bit earlier, or let's say you're returning to UCSB after a long time away, or you were a freshman a few years ago and you're just finishing up as a senior this year, you may see that the 2018-2019 requirements that you signed up for, those are going to be the ones that you'll continue following. So you should be able to access those too if you're finishing your last year or so here at UCSB. Actually, a couple more things we wanted to do over here. So if you're a newer student at UCSB and freshmen, sophomores, juniors, in most cases, you will be starting with pre-major requirements. There's another video in our channel that's going to be all about completing the pre-major and kind of what to do about that. I'm not going to speak a lot to the specific major requirements today. I'm more just talking about like how to figure out what you have left or what you need to do. But just know that these two different catalog years, you can access them depending on like what year you started here at UCSB. Both of them you have access to. Now, something that might help you decide if you're kind of wondering like, well, how do I know which of these two is for me? When you're in on your progress check on gold, which again, we'll show you shortly, at the top, you're going to see one of two different situations. You're going to see in the typewriter font, it'll say university requirements, like what year you started, and then major requirements. This will be the academic year of the major requirements when you signed on. If you are following the newer version of the major that does have pre-major requirements before you can move into the full major, you are going to be seeing something here that says 2019 or later into the future. If you are following the earlier requirements, you're actually going to see the blue highlight on the bottom. You're going to see something like major requirements 2018 or earlier if you're a student that has been enrolled and working on UCSB's Global Studies major for some time. Maybe you took some time away and returned, but this is how you'll verify that the earlier version of the major is the one that you'll follow. All right, other tools on our registration resources that you're going to want to know about. So the fun thing about the Global Studies major is that we are kind of like the in and out of majors at UCSB. We have essentially a secret menu of additional courses that you can use by what we call petition or special request, that certain parts of our major requirements kind of allow you to customize, right? Like maybe that you're looking at a class that's not on the major requirements, but it would still work underneath the content of that section of the major. So we want to honor the ability to look at some different courses that maybe are so new, but they're really, really interesting and they work really well with our major. We wouldn't want to tell you that you can't take them. So we want to give you credit for them. It's just that you got to be very, very careful in selecting which classes might work for that. We do have a Google Doc. I'll click into it really quickly just so you can kind of see what it looks like. Every quarter we add a new entry based on the new quarter that's coming up, and then we sort of outline what sections of the major can have some additional classes that are not currently already pre-programmed onto the major requirements to count, but we can take them. You would take the class and then you would file a petition request. The directions are all going to be up in here and the things that you'll do to make that process happen. But just know that if you see a class on here, more likely than not, we will be able to accept it for your major requirements in that specific area. But definitely read it really carefully so that you make sure you're picking the right classes. Another thing to know about the registration resources class or section of our website is we have a section or a Google Doc called Global 197 topics. So our Global 197 courses are our special topics where professors get to kind of go in depth on something that they really study and that they're really interested in. For some people, these are like the most fun global studies classes because it's really the professor kind of getting to show off the thing that they're an expert in. So this is kind of the way of knowing what the topics are, what the titles are, because they do not show up for Global 197s in the actual, in gold. You'll just see Global 197 special topics. You won't actually see the title and the content of the course. So this is kind of the way of knowing like, okay, should I sign up for that? Or would I be not interested in that topic? Or have I already taken that topic with that professor, so it wouldn't count? From there, other things that we wanted to say, searching for classes on Gold, definitely that's probably the main place I've heard of students that generally use to build their search. The advanced search option that we spoke about a little bit earlier. Gold updates constantly as people enroll. So the numbers that you see in terms of like how many students or spaces are left open versus how many are closed, that's pretty much like constantly updated. So that would be the most kind of current version of what classes are available. There's also this tool that can be also helpful when you're searching for classes by department, and it is the public schedule of classes. I'll just give us a quick glance at that. And then they tell you at the top, the big thing with this one is that what you see in terms of how many people are enrolled could be up to 24 hours old. So it might act like a class is still open and still has space, but in the 24 hours since it was last updated, up to 24 hours since it was last updated, maybe those seats got taken up already. But the reverse might be true also, right? It might say that a class is full, but maybe somebody or somebody's dropped the class so that there might actually be seats. So basically, like you can pick a quarter, pick a department and click search, and then you'll see every class that is in that department for that particular quarter. And then you can always go back to Gold and then search for that specific class to verify like whether or not, for example, this one's already full or this one's not. You can see all the different things that you need to see. You can also use these resources to help you find specific courses that count for GE areas. These are linked in, again, these are linked into the presentation slides. You can also find these in the General Catalog website if you search for UCSB General Catalog. There are some main GE and special subject area lists. It's going to look like this on the website, and it actually lets you click by GE type and the different things, which you'll also see in your progress check. You'll see these headers and these descriptions. So these kind of let you see, for example, under European traditions, here would be all the classes that will count for that area. So that can be really helpful. American History Institutions options, for whatever reason, is not linked into this main section. You actually have to dig really deep to find the American History and Institutions requirement options. So that's linked there as well. And then occasionally we'll forward emails to the Global Studies email list if other departments are offering some random courses that either would be good for elective credit, so that would be not for your major, but just to get units, or it could be things that would be applicable to the major. Kind of just depends. So you're going to want to search your email box for things from this email address. This is the one that is our main advising account. You may also see stuff from either of the two undergraduate advisors' emails to see if there's any that would help you find extra classes that might apply to you. And then also we're going to have some later slides in the presentation about the crash and waitlist policy if you are looking at classes that are full. So how do you find and how do you read your major in GE Progress Check on Gold? This is something that we've been mentioning in this presentation. We've been talking about it, but if you don't know how to get in there, this is your moment. This is where we're going to find it together. So you're going to log into Gold. You're going to click on Major and GE Progress Checks, and then, under the Progress tab, you're going to click on Major and GE Progress Check. You're going to click on this little checkbox. Make sure that it says Global Studies. If you are not in the major yet, it'll say Pre-Global Studies as your option, and then you'll get to see the pre-major requirements that you'll start with. Now, checking this option just tells the system that you want to include your in-progress courses. So like if you're enrolled in something already that may be helping you towards your major or pre-major requirements, you probably are going to want to see that. You can also uncheck this if you want to run it without whatever current courses you're in for whatever reason. But just know that it's generally good to turn this on so that you get the most accurate updated picture, and then you click Run this progress check. Something cool to know is that you can actually change the drop-down menus to other majors too. So you can see hypothetically what would it look like if you were to change your major to something else, how like on track you would be if you wanted to switch majors. Key areas to check every time that you open this document. You want to check your units completed and left to complete, especially upper division units, just so that way you can do the math consistently of how many classes per quarter that you'll need to take if you want to graduate in a certain number of quarters or a certain number of academic years. And you can also tell there if you are behind in terms of just sheer unit numbers. You can also check your GE completion and see like what classes are counting for certain GEs. If you thought you took a class that should be counting, this is kind of where you can untangle that. You also want to be obviously checking on your major requirement areas so that you can see what is left over. Now there's a section all at the bottom, all the way at the bottom that says all credit accepted. And that's just going to show you all the classes that you've taken, all of the, if you're a transfer student or if you've brought transfer units or AP scores or SAT scores, etc. That's going to be where all of that shows up in just a big long list so that you can see kind of how everything's in there and like what your grades are and sort of if something's been accounted for or if something's disappeared. So it's going to kind of look like this. Now, the big difference with what we're looking at here is when we are seeing green check marks, that is a sign that you have completed that section. Red X's means there's something missing. And then the little in progress clock, it'll say IP means, and then okay and no, obviously for these ones. But the little clock in IP means it's in progress. That means that whatever you're currently doing in the current quarter, or if you've signed up for next quarter's classes already, that is helping you fulfill that area. You're almost there. You just have to fulfill finish the classes that are underneath that area. So that is good to know about. And then, so here's your version. If you wanted the visual over here, you're going to see the same stuff we were just talking about and just in words form. This is where you definitely want to reach out to us ASAP if you are looking at this and you're thinking, wait, I thought it was supposed to be this way. I thought I did this part already, especially for major requirement areas. That's where we can definitely help you out. If you're missing GEs, I do recommend that you talk to the College of Letters and Science advisors first, because they can kind of help clarify those, whereas we in Global Studies mainly look at your major requirement areas. But we can definitely help you get on track if you're confused about GE completion as well. But yes, definitely want to hammer that home. Do not hesitate to reach out if you're looking at your progress check and something seems weird or incorrect or confusing. We would rather help you figure that out now than have you just kind of like sit with it and hope it goes away and then reach out to us later and then we realize that something really did go wrong and you were missing something major. So how often should you check your major and GE progress check? Every single day? No, you don't need to do that. That would be kind of crazy. Although, you know, it's up to you. Generally speaking, you want to be prepared to check your major and GE progress check regularly. I would recommend the following checkpoints. I would recommend when you're getting ready to plan for and make your strategy for next quarter's classes, right? Gold typically will release your past times and the next quarter's schedule somewhere around week 4, which I know sounds weird because you're just getting settled in your current quarter classes, but always good to start knowing that that's going to come up so that you can start planning. I also think it's kind of nice to check right after you've signed up for next quarter's classes, just to make sure that once you have those classes in your schedule, that they're actually fulfilling the areas that you were hoping that they would as an in progress. And then I also recommend checking when final grades are turned in for this quarter's classes so that way you can make sure that there's no surprises, right? Maybe you thought you passed a class, but you actually didn't, and you got a grade that made it so that it didn't count towards your major requirements. Maybe you got, or I would say this, maybe you thought you failed a class, but it turns out you got like a D, which, you know, is a passing grade, believe it or not, depending on the class that you're looking at and the requirement it's fulfilling. But maybe you can see, oh, it actually did fulfill that area. I don't need to take the class again, or I don't need to retake the class unless there's some other reason that you want it to. I also recommend just generally at the beginning and the end of each academic year, just so you can kind of get the big picture, right? Overall units, big areas you still need to fulfill. You can kind of think ahead to next year. Okay, I did this year. Next year, I want to be thinking about this part of my major requirements and moving towards that. Okay, the big takeaway lesson here, and this is just something we like to mention, it is you as the student, not your advisors, who is the old one that is ultimately responsible for knowing what is in your major progress check and acting on that information in a timely manner, right? We as advisors can help you if you're feeling stuck or if you're not sure what's going on. We can give recommendations, we can connect you to resources, but we cannot be the ones that know your progress check better than you, right? You are the one that needs to be really familiar with what's going on in this document so that way you're making the best choices for yourself. What happens every so often is we run final degree checks for students who've indicated that they're ready to graduate. And then we might find that you're missing 3 classes, right? Maybe you missed out on a whole bunch of major requirements, or maybe you didn't take enough elective units. and you are, 2 weeks away from the end of spring quarter and you're getting ready to go to commencement and you're getting ready to move out of your apartment and you're so excited, you're so pumped. And then you get hit with this email from us saying, or from the office of the registrar saying, you're not actually going to graduate. And you're wondering, why? I don't understand why. This is where you want to make sure you have checked your progress check many times along the process so that there are no surprises like that, right? That's usually where people get surprised, is they're not actually looking at their progress check very regularly. So this is here for you as a tool. We are here to help you if the tool seems confusing, but ultimately you are the one responsible for knowing what's going on in there and for advocating for yourself if something looks incorrect. So just a PSA. So major and GE progress check troubleshooting, because sometimes weird things come up. If you're still completing your pre-global studies major requirements, you are not going to see the upper division major requirements in your progress check until you actually apply to and are accepted into the full major, and the registrar changes your major after you complete your application and we send it to the registrar. So if you want to check on your upper division global studies major requirements, but you can't yet because you're not out of the pre-major, you can still use the paper copy, right? That's kind of your backup. Use the paper copy of the major requirements. You can get them again on our registration resources section of our website so that you can plan ahead. And then just keep in mind, courses that you plan to use by petition or by special request that don't officially currently count for major requirements, but we're willing to take them if you can make the case that it makes sense for the major. These won't show up automatically in the right spots on your progress check because they're not programmed, obviously, to automatically pop into that place. But you can see them down in all credit accepted and then kind of mentally account for them when you're looking at your progress check, and then make sure to plan to petition them. There is a direction set and a criteria sheet for can this class actually count for this area on our undergraduate advising section of our website. Again, go to global.ucsb.edu, undergraduate tab, and then you'll find that same section of our website and you can kind of explore what's there. Other things about the foreign language requirement. This is probably the area on global studies students progress check that seems the most confusing and the most weird. So it's in the prep for the major section. You may not actually see all the language courses appearing in the right areas on your progress check. You'll see them kind of dumped in there like a big bucket underneath the prep for the major section. You can verify with us if you're not sure if the courses that you are taking or have taken in the past count for these areas. Just know that you're going to see them all there, but they won't necessarily pop into the right place until you've completed the entire foreign language requirement, which we go into depth in another video. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that one here, but basically just take a look and then reach out to us if you're not sure what's going on. And then other reminders about planning your schedule each quarter. If you're a declared global or pre-global major, we do send weekly Friday emails with tips and special registration updates that might be happening in certain quarters. So for example, if a course that you might have been counting on that seems pretty regular on the schedule is not actually offering, if there's something unique that's coming up, if there's a class that isn't usually offered that certain people might fit the profile of taking, that's where you're going to want to be watching your emails for the weekly Friday email. That is your best up-to-date tip sheet for making sure that you know if the class that you need is or is not going to be offered in the time frame that you need it. So just make sure you're at least skimming through those emails, saving parts of the emails that seem applicable to you so you're not surprised if a class is not offered in the one quarter you were hoping to take it. Because otherwise that information doesn't really come up most other places on the UCSB web presence. And then the other thing that's nice to know is that the registration resource section of our website has a Google spreadsheet linked on this page of the tentative plans for what classes in the Global Studies department are going to be offered on the whole for the whole academic year. Very tentative, definitely can change depending on factors like if a professor ends up not being available that quarter or things otherwise have to change. But it can kind of help you strategize a bit for the year beyond just what you'll see in the regular gold registration system. So other reminders about planning your schedule. Again, can't say it enough. Know and use your pass time wisely. That is as soon as pass one opens, right? You get most of the time, if you're a continuing student, you get 3 chances to enroll. You get a certain number of classes at the beginning in your first pass, and then you can kind of add a couple more classes as your second and third pass come around. You can make changes. But if you don't use that time frame wisely, and if you wait several hours or days, or believe it or not, I have students that wait weeks or months after their first pass had started and ended, and then they start trying to build their schedule like right before the quarter starts, that is where you are very, very strongly running the risk of trying to enroll in classes that will be full. And there is no guarantee that space can be found for you once those spaces are taken. Even if you're a graduating senior, even if you think you need the class that quarter, even if you have plans to graduate early or you want to study abroad, if you didn't plan ahead, there just physically can't be more space made for you. We don't say this to be mean, it's just we're saying this to know, like, if you have a for sure need of a certain class, definitely make a plan to sign up for it as soon as your past one opens. Preferred classes, if they're already full, be flexible, right? Look at other parts of your degree requirements based on what you see. Rarely do we actually encounter a situation where a student really truly needs only a couple specific classes and they weren't able to get into them, especially if they were using their past time wisely. A lot of students think they have to take a certain class on a certain quarter, but maybe you don't, right? Maybe you can work on other things to look at if you're finding yourself stuck. Maybe you have other GEs that have been sitting around that need to get fulfilled. Maybe you can take some elective units, right? Upper division elective units outside of your global studies requirements, you still need to take 24 upper division units, which can come from a second major or a minor or just random classes that interest you, right? But those are really good to work on if you don't know what else to add to your schedule and you're at least a junior or senior. Or you could look at other global studies requirements, even if like our core classes are full, even if you can't get into 110, 120, or 130, or yeah. You could maybe look at your language requirement. Maybe you need to do more there. Maybe you have an Area 3 region course that needs to happen. This is only for, or no, yeah, this is for everybody. Area 3 region courses you could look at. Maybe you need some Area 2B courses, right? There probably are other parts of your major requirements that you could still fulfill. There's one specific spot in the prep for the major area that's only applicable to our students who are in the older version of the major. I'll just leave that there. And if you're not sure, you can come talk to me or Taylor or one of the other advisors about what's going on with that. And then finally, some other reminders: crash policies if a class is full. So this is the big one: what to do if your preferred classes are full. Realistically, if you're graduating a specific quarter and truly need this exact class and there's nothing else that you can take, there's nothing else you can work on. This isn't like, oh, I'd prefer to work on this class during this quarter. This is, I truly need nothing else and there's nothing else that makes sense for me to add in my schedule. I will be behind if I don't get this exact class this quarter because this is my last quarter. Then you can reach out to the undergraduate advisors immediately, more so that we know your name and we can discuss options with you. We can't guarantee specific access to specific classes in any certain quarter. Be ready to make alternate arrangements, but we can know that you're looking for the class and we can talk with the professor and we can see kind of what's going on and help you get your best chances of getting into the class. You do still want to add yourself to the waitlist on Gold though. Everyone else, including the people up here, should definitely plan to add themselves to the waitlist on Gold and plan to crash the course, so attend without being officially enrolled, day one. You have to do both. You can't just crash the course and not add yourself to the waitlist. Adding yourself to the waitlist is how we know you are interested. Crashing the course day one is how you make sure that you are still on track with what's going on in the class if it comes to pass that we have space for you in the class. We do not recommend that you contact instructors about approval codes. Get on the wait list. That's the best possible way. That way they can see your name, they can reach out to you via email if it works to add you into the class. Things to know about how the Global Studies course waitlists work on Gold. So some departments set theirs up so that it's first come, first served as a waitlist. You add yourself to the waitlist, and then the next time a space opens up, the system either adds you into the class or offers you the chance to get added into the class. That is not how ours are working. Ours are prioritized by major status, so Global Studies first, then everyone else, including pre-Global Studies majors, and by unit count status, so seniors and then juniors and then so on, not first come, first served. So for example, this means that a senior Global Studies major will get into, will get bumped higher onto the waitlist and have a higher chance of getting in if people drop than a junior who's not yet in the major, or a sophomore, or a sophomore who's a pre-Global Studies major and hoping to, move on into those upper division classes. So just know that if you are this senior Global Studies major or junior Global Studies major, your chances are going to be higher than some random person who's just taking the class for fun. If you just recently applied to the full major, keep in mind it does take a quarter to process your application to the full major, so you will need to plan to take non-Global Studies department courses for that waiting quarter in between finishing your pre-major stuff and being ready to start full upper division major classes. You can add yourself to the wait list, but just know you will not have the highest priority. If there is space, then maybe we could work it out, but don't count on that. Plan to take the other courses. Now, a big thing to know is courses that are not taught in the Global Studies department, even if they're on the major sheet as an option, because our major pulls from so many other departments, we don't have any control over that. We don't have any control over the wait lists. We don't have any control over the instructor letting you take the class because you're in our major, but that class helps fulfill our major, or it's an option to help fulfill our major. So you're going to actually need to work that out with the instructor or undergrad advisor for that class, that department, to see what their crash or waitlist policy is. Maybe they have a waitlist on Gold you can add yourself to. Maybe you can contact the instructor and ask for an approval code, or talk it over with their undergraduate advisor to see what the chances are. We do not have any information about how your chances are looking for classes in other departments, just because we don't control them at all. So good thing to keep in mind. So to recap, when you're planning your schedule, start early. That gives you enough time to do the research of checking your major and GE progress check to identify what you have and have not yet completed. Look back at your major requirement sheet that applies to you. Additional copies are available on our website, registration resources section. Use your tools on Gold to help you pinpoint what classes best fit. I would say definitely spend some time looking at the advanced search options, so that you're not just looking at hundreds and hundreds of classes that trying to find like the gems that are going to fill your schedule. And then make a backup plan in case your preferred courses are full. Other requirements to fulfill based on what you see in your major and GE progress check are the best way of knowing what else to work on. And be ready as soon as that past one opens to get enrolled. Definitely at that point, if you have any lingering questions or confusions, contact your undergraduate advisors. That would be us. After you do your research on planning your schedule, we have on the undergraduate advising section of our website contact information so that you can reach us or make an appointment or come do drop-ins or email us. And that concludes our presentation. So please feel free to reach out if after viewing this presentation or looking at the slides, you are still feeling stuck in getting your schedule planned.